Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show. So after watching this replay probably 20 times for the overclocking video, this was the one that I used to actually do all of my benchmarks, I figured, hey, this would probably make a relatively good cast as well. So we're going to be bringing this to you guys. It's going down on Setton's Clutch. Got a pretty wide range. Some people that are kind of around my skill level at 1,000 to 1,100 up to 2,100. So with that being said, we all know what's going on here on Setton's. Let's go ahead and get into introducing our players. We're going to call this Team 1 up at the top, Team 2 down at the bottom. Start with the rear guard air position. We have Arctic Apprentice. He's going UEF and opening first air. Moving on to the beach, we've got Kakon, I guess, who is going Cybrid, and he is opening first land. Gotta say I'm rooting for that guy going Cybrid. In the front, we have Swager, I guess. And he's going to be wagering his luck in the forward position here, going first land on the way to the middle. Last but not least for Team 1, we have I Want to Die, who is the ringer in this game at 2,100. And he is going Aeon, opening first land, looks to be second air. Moving on to Team Numero Dos, we have Macapaka, who's going Aeon in the rear guard air position, opening first land. So a little bit of a different approach from Macapaka than the Arctic Apprentice, following with our tradition. Moving on to the beach, we have JC, who is going Cybrin on a little bit of a smoke break right now, it would appear. Nope, he's going to be reclaiming with his commander before he decides that that was enough action for one day and is going back to taking a break. In the middle position, we have got Accidental Aeon, who is incidentally playing Seraphim. And he has gone for first land, got a lot of other land factories queued up, as to be expected in the forward position on Setton's. And last but not least in the game, we have TJ. Thank you very much for making my job easy and not going for some insane name who's going UEF, opening first land, second air. As in the middle, I love it whenever timing works out correctly. We do have Zwager making his way towards the middle just now. And let's see what he's got queued up. So he's just going to the middle. No reclaim orders as of yet queued up. Look at Accidental Aeon, who is playing Seraphim. And he's got just his move order queued up. Got a couple of rally points as well that are queued up from his land factories. I feel like Accidental Aeon is just such an appropriate name. I feel like anytime I random, I get Aeon, and then my team hates me because I'm not good at playing Aeon. I don't like playing Aeon, and it's terrible whenever the Duelist plays Aeon. As Accidental Aeon opens up on Zwager, and they both get to work reclaiming the Loyalist Rex. We watch the lovely vacuuming dance happen between the two of them. I think that Zwager is getting a little bit of the better trade here. Getting some of the more critical wrecks, I think. And then we've got a Selen by Accidental Aeon making his way into the backline there for Zwager. Zwager will zoom out a little bit as these guys exchange blows. We'll keep the Rex in render visibility, but you can see he's got a line of factories queued up just to the north. So not building any in his initial base, but going for ones outside of his base with some engineers. And now he is shifted focus to, I need to turn on the mini-map. Let's do that real quick. Resize that bad boy, make it visible so that I can see the comm kills that I'm going to miss before I actually miss them, as Zwager turns his attention to the Salem Rex. As far as side islands go, no hanky-panky going on. It looks like both TJ as well as I Want to Die are going to be securing their respective side islands. We've got some interceptor coverage here from Kakon, shutting down some of the initial air coming out of TJ's base. But here in the middle, we do have some Zooies that are showing up. laying into Zwager's stationary and reclaiming commander. Zooey's, of course, not the most accurate things. I feel like Zwager should have lost a little bit more health there than he did. I think he got off a little bit lucky with some of that firing randomness coming off of the Zooeys. He's going to take a pretty good salvo there, though, as he drops down below 10,000 HP. Trading relatively even, though, and considering he doesn't have any units in the front line, you'd be pretty happy with that. Getting a good amount of reclaim as well. But he is going to be forced off of that line eventually. And sitting still for reclaim is a risky proposition, sir. As he drops into the yellow there. Not in any huge danger, though, unless he continues tanking Zooey fire and prioritizing this reclaim. As we see some of his T1 units start getting blapped by accidental Aeon. And even a bomber coming in for support there from Kakon, beach player. Yeah, bomber's just passing. Just wanted to drop in, say hello. As Zwager continuing to take actually pretty significant damage here, down to 4k HP. He's going to have to think about disengaging here. That's what he's going to do, head to the water. The safety of the blue, the deep blue. Wow, that was a weird way to say that. Zooey's in hot pursuit, throwing a couple of shells on the commander as the ACU goes submerged, or actually not, going back on land here and going for more reclaim. Zwager, the balls on this man, just absolutely titanium testicles. Throws out an overcharge at accidental Aeon. Could bring in some of his forces up here to offer a little bit of a hand. But is continuing to prioritize this reclaim even at 3,500 HP as he takes some more shots from accidental Aeon. Going for yet more reclaim. The ultimate sacrifice from your forward player as he dips beneath the waves now. And I think he is actually going to do it, dropping down to about 2k HP. Meanwhile, in the northern and southern pond, efforts from both of the Cliff players to shut down their opponents, as we see I Want to Die frigates going into JC's territory, as well as TJ moving a Thunderhead in range of some of these engineers. It's going to make it relatively difficult for Kakon to get a foothold in the water. He's going to engage them with his commander. Might not have overcharge. Overcharge would have been really good there on the frigates. Something I learned, that you can overcharge frigates and it's actually pretty effective. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you think about it. I just never thought about it because I'm an idiot and I don't think about things. Meanwhile, JC running into similar woes down here at the bottom. And it looks like he is actually going to be losing his naval factory as a second frigate shows up from I Want to Die. A little bit of an air engagement as well. I Want to Die having superior numbers in the air as well. Great showing from him early on in the game as JC is shut out from the Navy. Kakon still holding on here. Does have a Trident frigate out versus these two Thunderheads. Unfortunately is outmatched in terms of numbers, but is going to be able to get a scuttle up behind that little defensive screen from the frigate. And that scuttle will most likely be able to at least secure this one naval factory, allow him to at least have a chance in the naval game. We'll see. At the bottom, though, JC is really hurting here. And JC resorting to Tech 2 point defense, actually, to secure his beach. As frigates now harassing mexes as well as engineers. And he's going to go for a scuttle of his own to try and secure that pond. And the Zooey's actually from accidental Aeon. I know we're bouncing back and forth between the various ponds, but there's a lot of action going on here. Zooey's from accidental Aeon being diverted into the pond, and things kind of going from bad to worse here for Kakon. I don't know how you pronounce that, actually. as Zeus as well as Thunderhead's going to be moving in to his primary naval production. Scuttle does offer a little bit of respite. Zeus doing good amounts of damage here. Going to be able to take out that Scuttle in one more volley. There it goes. Naval Factory next on the menu for those Zeus, and Kakan is going to find himself ousted from the naval game thanks to those Zeus. Actually scrambling a Jester to help with the issue, but he's going to lose his Tridents as well. That is going to be him blocked out from the naval game. T2 on the way for Zwager. Right there in the middle. Going to rep up some of that health that he lost and sacrificed for the reclaim and the greater good of his allies. So we also have T2 on the field now for Accidental Aeon, who has gone for some Ilshivas right off the bat. Not seeing T2 as of yet. Nope, T2 is on the field, but Zwager is going for Engineers instead. Going to be shoring up his economy as well as his build power. As the Zeus up north starting to harass some mexes. Labs sent to tangle with them by Kakan. Labs are actually pretty good at dealing with artillery. They're pretty quick moving and relatively cheap. You can spam them out pretty quickly, especially if you've got a little Zui raid, but Zui's gonna get some good damage in. Probably not what you would want to see unless they can bag that T2 mech. Nope, they are not going to be able to. I think their only score here was this little guy right there, right on the beach. I think most of the core infrastructure there for Kakon is protected, but he's going to be hurting as far as the naval game here, with no naval presence. Meanwhile, JC has gotten himself back into the Navy, got 3 naval factories up, under pretty heavy pressure from I Want to Die. But under the cover of these Cerberus turrets, is able to at least put something in the water. Even if it means that he's still going to be fighting an uphill battle here. Doesn't help that he's beach and minus, I think it's 5 mexes. There's a 5 mex advantage mostly in terms of this island for the Cliffs player, so pretty good spot for I Want to Die to be in. As Kakon going for a different strategy, instead of going for Cerberus turrets on the beach, is actually going to go for the Nanite torpedo upgrade. So he's asking for some E for poor guy, please. JC barely holding on here. Scuttles are offering good protection from behind these naval factories as they begin getting rebuilt. And it would appear that we have T3 Air now on the field for both of our air players, both Macapaka as well as Arctic Apprentice. Arctic Apprentice, you can see some of his SR-90 Blackbirds, Lockheed Martin's greatest steel of all time, going over Macapaka's base there. And JC going for a little bit more of a scuttle creep, trying to get at least some foothold here in the water against I Want to Die. I Want to Die not really giving it to him very easy. As Accidental Aeon now moves in with Zeus to harass I Want to Die. Maybe going to be granting his wish here. And Accidental Aeon actually dropping a naval factory down here in the southern pond as well to assist JC against the ringer for Team 1. 2100. Yeah, let's check in with Kakon up at the top. Nanite torpedo launcher. Giving him some pretty good value there. Well, he's actually only got 1 kill, so maybe not great value, but it has allowed him to get back into the water. The naval factory is under construction. nanite torpedo launcher will be pretty good at dealing with the frigates as they can't shoot back against the commander. It's just going to take some time as these frigates take a little bit to chew through, especially when there's 7 or 8 of them like we're seeing here. And the Zooey swarm is continuing. That combined with the Tridents from JC, going to be able to at least buy JC a little bit of breathing room here to get some more naval production up and actually get to Tech 2 Navy, as we've got a Salem on the way out of that HQ and some frigates as well from Accidental Aeon coming in to help as well. The middle has mostly just turned into a stalemate, as it often does in the middle. It's usually either one player or the other dies within the first 5-6 minutes of the game, or it turns into just kind of a firebasing stalemate, as it were. 15 minutes into the game, and looking at eco, Team 2 is up ever so slightly, about 7k total mass accrued. With our chip leader right now, I think is TJ. It's actually Arctic Apprentice at hovering around and close to 200 mass per tick, which is pretty good at 15 minutes into the game. Very good, actually, at 15 minutes into the game, as he is building out his air grid and reclaiming some of the redundant T1 and T2 power generators. This is actually, I think, pretty important. This might be a good science video topic. You know, if you're reclaiming, going through a sentence build, if you reclaim your old power generators, how much it actually helps you out. Because I know it helps you out, but I'm not sure how much. So we've got a Governor T2 cruiser out for TJ. Got 10 kills to its name already, so causing huge problems again for KCON. As KCON just really struggling to get his feet under him in this northern pond. And we've got, that has allowed for TJ to dispatch another Governor down to harass Zwager. See one of his upgraded mexes. I believe this was a T2 mex at one point, taken out by the tactical missiles. Another on the menu. Would need to get some buzz kills up. Post haste, good sir. Post haste. Post haste, good sir. That is kind of the state of affairs. Let's check in on what our ASF numbers look like. So we got 15 now for Arctic Apprentice, and going to Macapaka, got 18. So relatively even as far as ASF and air goes. Both these guys right now focusing on getting that initial air grid set up with some T3 power generators, and Macapaka actually going for an upgrade here. This might be, I'm not 100% sure what that would be for the commander. He's already got RAS as well as T2. This might be a T3 upgrade. I don't think you would want, I think on the other slot it is sensors and one of the gun upgrades. Right arm, yep, sensor, one of the gun upgrades. And that's going to be ARAS actually, so Advanced Resource Allocation System completing there. Macapaka doubling down as far as resources go. And what happened here? Is there a strat that went out that I missed? Or is that Control K'ing and reclaiming? He might be Control K'ing and reclaiming some of these mexes. And I think that's actually what's going on. So he's Control K'ing and rebuilding his mexes, which according to some people that I've heard, that doesn't help anymore. It used to be faster. I'm not sure if that helps anymore though. That might be another something for me to look into. As we've got torpedo bombers now out from KCON, trying to give him a little bit of an edge back into the water here, but there are several Governors, as the commander is actually doing battle with a squad of Coopers. That's not a good spot where you want your commander to be. He's taking huge amounts of damage from those Coopers, drops down into the yellow, and is losing hit points like nobody's business. There are a couple of Barracudas that are coming out, but again, that's not a great counter against Coopers. Ideally, you want a Salem, or at the very least a Siren to deal with the torpedo boats. The torpedo boats are actually very good at dealing with subs. That's kind of their purpose. as Kcon drops to 1700 HP before he's able to make it out of the water. And the Barracuda, the only remaining Barracuda, I think he lost 2 of them in that little in exchange, has been retasked to harass the frigates as well as the cruisers there for TJ. Coopers are on the way, though. They are on the way. If we zoom out and take a look, JC in a much better position than Kcon right now. Kcon just really having a hard time getting back into the water. Whereas JC has semi-stabilized here with the help of Accidental Aeon. Kcon gonna lose his T2 HQ, I think, at this point. Engineers scrambling to repair it as quickly as possible. We have some zappers going up as well. That T2 HQ, there's too many tactical missiles for that one zapper and the engineers to out repair. That's going to be him losing T2 in the water. He's also lost his last Barracuda. I don't see any more frigates from him as well. This is a bad spot. This is a tight spot. I'll throw a movie line at you guys if you guys can get it. You guys will always be my heroes. But Kcon is saying, damn, we're in a tight spot, to himself. And that is, I think we can unequivocally agree on that one. I think Team 1 now has retaken the lead in terms of eco. And looking at our chip leader, it's still Arctic Apprentice up at 384, 380-ish. Total mass, which is very respectable. Goes to show you how good these Setons players have their build orders locked down. As we have what I believe is our first air engagement. Makapaka getting a pretty good position there initially. With the Coronas on the Wasps. The Wasps are gonna capitulate. There's going to be air superiority going to Team 2 for the time being. Team 2 seems to have kind of everything going their way right now. They're holding the bottom pond, they've won the north pond, and now they've won air. It's a good spot to be in if you're a Setons player. As Kcon says, kill me please, and is, I think, just submitted to his fate. Decided to honorably commit suicide. I'm not sure if it's honorable or not, but committed suicide against the Coopers. Full share is of course on. You can see all of the buildings up here have gotten transferred over to Arctic Apprentice, as he will now be managing the beach position. We've got a naval engagement happening, coalition of Accidental Aeon as well as JC. T1 and T2 represented from both sides. These Exodus destroyers, you can see their long, slow fire arcing across the screen. It is kind of a beautiful thing, watching an Aeon Navy do battle. We got some Zooies in there as well, causing all sorts of problems. It looks like I Want to Die gonna come out slightly ahead here. Still good naval presence from JC, so it's not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. As the Exodus is actually down here at the bottom, come in range of some of JC's eco options down there. It's going to force a response from him. He's going to lose one of his T2 mexes. And Accidental Aeon's naval representation almost been entirely wiped out with the exception of that one destroyer. So JC now managing this pond pretty much on his own. So you can see the northern beach area on the mini-map has gotten transitioned over to Zwager. And JC, I think, taking good trades here. Keeping his destroyers out of danger. He's got a good little meat shield of frigates. and I think all things considered doing relatively well there from a trade perspective. Look at reclaim. The only downside is a lot of the reclaim is kind of controlled by I Want to Die at this point. So you see more reinforcements coming in for I Want to Die. JC, of course, has the advantage of being able to reinforce directly from these factories. Could use several more of them, though. Look at what does his eco look like? So he definitely has a little bit of headroom. Can definitely drop down some more factories, get some more tridents out. The almighty Cybran frigate, as up here at the top we have strap bomber harassment coming in from Macapaka in the form of shockers. These are all T3 mexes. Arctic Apprentice going to lose one of them, and that's going to be a beautiful explosion on the T2 mass fabricators that Arctic Apprentice is starting to ring around all of his mass options. And going to lose actually another T3 mex, so 2 T3 mexes down, as well as a bunch of mass fabs that are ringed around it, that have been runged around it. That have been built around it. There we go. That's a better word to use. As TJ is now just setting up shop in the beach positions naval area, dropping down some additional naval factories. Swager trying to keep up here, dropping down some zappers and maintain a hold of this position, but I think this is a matter of time. He's lost all the mexes, the core mexes at least for the beach player. And with the arrival of more cruisers, he's going to be under even more pressure. Actually lost a lot of the core mass in his own base as well. As it becomes very difficult to play the center if one of your Navy players just gets absolutely steamrolled. And it looks like we have a satellite on the field. Not sure where it is. Oh, okay. We've got satellite devastation happening in Macapaka's bases. His entire air grid gets taken out by this satellite. So Arctic Apprentice doing good work here with the satellite. Taking out almost the entirety of his air grid. Could have finished off the T3 HQ there, which might have been beneficial. But it looks like that satellite has been retasked to harass TJ. TJ reacting, sort of? There you go. Okay, so we're starting to get a lot more shield generators up to counter that satellite. Shield gens getting dropped all over the place on the various mass extraction points, but the satellite is here. Satellite is hungry. It's hungry for some traitorous UEF payback, something or other. As TJ also establishing a beachhead here, some Cerberus turrets being put together from Zwager against the Lobo spam coming out of TJ. But those are in range, unfortunately, of the governors, as we got whole swathes of engineers getting taken out by the tactical missiles. The Cerberus is going to go down as well, as we have another satellite from Arctic Apprentice, a second satellite now. I guess he's got to do something with the 400 plus mass he's bringing in per tick. As at the bottom, JC seems to be holding on, and it's looking not so great for team number one, or team one. Down a player, losing their beach position. I Want to Die doesn't seem to be making a huge amount of headway here. And JC has been able to hold on, making the jump to T3 in short order, actually, on that naval HQ. The saving grace for Team 1 is, I believe, these satellites, which are going to get very tiresome to deal with for Team number 2. And Team 2 now has air control as well, now that Macapaka's air grid has been surgically eliminated. By surgically, I mean kind of with the sledgehammer, if that's a surgical instrument. We also have Percivals on the field now for TJ. I'm not sure where those are coming from. Are those coming just all the way from back here? Not sure. Yeah, yep. So there's the T3 HQ. That must be where they're coming from. And the Lobos are starting to break through here. We do have Hunter response from Zwager to deal with the Lobos. We talked about earlier. Lab's not too bad of a counter for the light artillery. As that was pretty painful to watch. That one little Percival shot decimated all of the mass fabricators that have been runged around the mass extractor. Let's see how many different ways I can say that are incorrect and see how many people I can piss off. As we've got Omen battleships now, quite a few of them from I Want to Die. This might be what he needs to break JC in this southern pond. Does have T3 Navy. Not seeing any galaxies though as of yet, so there's the first galaxy under construction right now for JC. He's going to need quite a few more of them. The Omens are able to outclass the galaxies in just about every single way whenever it comes to ship-to-ship combat, so definitely going to need quite a few more of those. But the Salem fleet that JC has is doing work. Got 17 Salems in that mix. Wait, why are not? I don't know why all the Salems are not getting selected here, but it looks like there's actually more like 20. Not all of them are getting selected, as we have a push now from Zwager in the middle. Had this army kind of sitting around doing nothing. T1/T2 force as the satellites are looking to kneecap Accidental Aeon, keep him from being able to do anything, and this little force is going to cause some pretty serious damage here. There's an Otham that has been dispatched. We do have some covering fire coming from a summit in the bay, but this is kind of Zwager's last gasp, I think. His last shot. We get one shot, one opportunity. Sees everything you ever wanted. One moment, you just have to capture it instead of letting it slip. And that's kind of what we see Zwager doing. T1 point defense being thrown together. Some Utaus from Accidental Aeon. But a lot of these units are going to be able to make it through, taking out some power options, some mass extractors as well. Could do really well taking out that HQ. As we've got another air fight going on up at the top. Macapaka trying to get some air control, some semblance of air control back, but picking a pretty poor spot to do it. Fighting over SAMs and into superior numbers. Undoubtedly, it's because of the Stinger gunships that Arctic Apprentice has spammed out to deal with the Lobo spam coming from TJ on the beach position there. Meanwhile, on the bottom, I Want to Die. Still throwing huge amounts of battleships now. And we've only got 2 galaxies on the field for JC. And this might be kind of the straw that broke the camel's back there for JC. As these Omens are beginning to tear through the Salems. Salem's doing a pretty good job, though, as the Lushavas destroyers have been transitioned over. I Want to Die has got a lot of engineers coming out of these factories on reclaim operations as well. As Accidental Aeon says he can't make Navy anymore, no eco, so JC is on his own down here. And it looks like he is going to be able to drive off I Want to Die, at least temporarily, once again. He's going to need a lot more galaxies to deal with firepower of that magnitude. As we have a 3rd satellite now for Arctic Apprentice. TJ's base pretty well shielded. All the key mass extractors and T3 mexes have been shielded. Satellites are going to have a hard time getting through that. We got the third satellite actually up here harassing TJ's beachhead as a fourth satellite. Jeez! How many satellites does this boy need? I only see... Okay, nope, there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, 4. It's like I couldn't see all the satellite control facilities. Whoops, weird camera movement there. The Omen's now beginning, though, to corner JC as the Galaxy's just not able to hit back hard enough. There are a lot of harms that have been built out as well, and those are starting to tear into the Omens as they go into range. We have a series of restorers, nice little fleet there, coming in over the top from Macapaka. Gonna start bagging themselves some battleships here. Alright, a couple of Infinity-class cruisers in the bay. That will be able to deal some pretty good damage to these restorers, but restorers lock in, sink their teeth into that Infinity. Be able to take out the first one, but we do have floating flak as well, so I Want to Die seems to be prepared for all eventualities here. Not ready to give up the game. Even after Zwager has been effectively eliminated from this game, even though his commander is still alive, and K-Con is out as well. So it's effectively a 2v4 at this point. But team number 2, they need to cause some heavy damage, and they need to do it quickly, and this might be what they need right here. Large amounts of Lobos and Titans moving in now on Arctic Apprentice's bases. He's going to lose a couple of these T3 power generators as well as some of these T3 mexes. There is a Soul Stinger up here that is stinging, and there is a Saku Ras preset. He's doing what he can as well. But these Lobos, there's a few too many of them to be dealt with by that number of units, as we have another wave marshalling back here. It's going to be another T3 power generator going down. I might actually go to split screen here as we look at kind of the push up top, as well as the naval battle is going down on the bottom, because JC is now losing his naval yards. The harms are just not quite enough as the satellites begin to break through the shields as well. T1 bombers getting dispatched here on the right screen. Exit out of that as well so you guys can see. T1 bombers now getting dispatched to deal with the Lobos, and it looks like that's not going to be quite enough to dislodge or damage Arctic Apprentice's ego. Well, his ego too, but his eco in any measurable sense. The harms, though, are doing quite a bit of work, harming these battleships quite a bit. See what I did there? Harming. Yep, you got it. Go back to regular screen here. As I Want to Die has been once again chased off, but he did bag the T3 Naval HQ, so 2 Galaxies left on the field for JC, and that is pretty much all he's going to be able to work with from a T3 perspective until he can rebuild. Zwager actually has got some RAS preset commanders, some RAS boys, if you will, out on the field, and is actually working on a Fat Boy, which is ambitious. As we turn our mini map back on now that we're at single screen again. And a cloud of restorers making their way north for Macapaka. And satellites. That's rough. That's rough, man. I might get the SMD as well. Is there a nuke even for team number 2 or team 1? Got a nuke eliminator. I'm not seeing a nuke launcher though. I don't think I Want to Die has one either. So no nukes. Even though there is, everybody's building nuke defense, even though there's no nuclear weapons on the field. It's like a psych out kind of strategy. As Lobos are going to get dealt with by the Titans. This cloud of restorers doing a pretty good job of dealing with the T1 bombers. Wow, that was kind of cool to watch. This just kind of wave of explosions and fire and death and destruction. Does that make me a masochist, or is that a sadist, or is it both? I like watching death and destruction. Although nobody's actually dying because these are all supposedly automated robots. As the restorers are now going in on the Titans, trying to clear the road here a little bit. The Wasps are dispatched. Restorers doing a pretty good job of shooting back. Restorers, no slouches whenever it comes to AA. Dropping a couple of these, quite a few of these Wasps actually. I have this weird phobia of Wasps. It's weird, I know, because they're so small and their stings don't really hurt that bad. I got stung though whenever I was like 5. I actually got swarmed whenever I was 5. Because I like beat on this bench that was on my grandparents' deck. And there was a wasp's nest underneath it, and apparently a pretty big one, as we've got a Tsar now from Accidental Aeon. Not Accidental Aeon. I Want to Die. I completely missed that one. And there is next to no air coming out from Macapaka. Macapaka just trying to stay alive. Actually got a salvation on the way that is not shielded. And a RAS preset out here. All these are support commanders. Some of these aren't even preset support commanders. Just support commanders for the sake of having support commanders, I guess. As JC's last remnants of Navy have been ousted, I Want to Die gets access to all of this juicy reclaim. And Macapaka actually defeated by Control K here. It's just decided that it's time to hang it up. He's gonna go boom, right? Boom? Boom! There we go. So he goes boom. Alright, so that leaves TJ as well as JC. JC getting his commander out of dodge here. He's got a Dragonfly. He's looking to get out of there as quickly as possible. But it looks like at this point in the game, it's looking pretty good now for team number 1. Arctic Apprentice has done a pretty good job holding off TJ up here at the top and maintaining air control and building lots of satellites. And I Want to Die has finally beaten out JC as well as the Accidental Aeon coalition down here at the bottom. I think that Tsar... Nope, they're still up. There's 2 of them now, by the way. I think I've talked about this in the past, but for the longest time, whenever Kyle would say Tsar, he would say Za. I used to think he was talking about pizza because these things are circular. I've said that before. Am I recycling jokes now? I'm probably recycling jokes now. That's what happens. As the Zaz are going to get above Macapaka's old base and start up unloading all of their delicious toppings and sauces onto that base. And I think that might be game at this point. Got a fat boy up here that has taken out most of the spam now from TJ. So the Tsars will be able to take this out, and we've got 2 more on the way from I Want to Die. I Want to Die not living up to his name. He definitely doesn't want to die. He wants to live. And TJ next on the menu here. He's getting a lot of shield coverage, but doesn't have... Well, he does have actually quite a few flares here. But we'll see if that's enough to stand up to 4 Tsars. As one bank begins to open up on one of the Zaz. All the delicious stuffed crust filling come spilling out of that hole in the middle. because we have support commanders going pop in various other places on the map. I Want to Die's commander is here in the pond. We got Swager is one of these in this pond, and then Arctic Apprentice is somewhere up here. I'm not gonna go into that because really the one that we care about is TJ. TJ's commander is right here, actually. So not in his main base, but if he loses his main base, it's pretty much over. JC's been eliminated from the game effectively. Accidental Aeon has been defeated as well. His commander was chilling out right here in Macapaka's old base, living life on the edge as the Tsars turn northward. And TJ now running into power issues, it would appear. So not going to be able to keep his shields active, and that's not what you want to have happen whenever Tsars and satellites are hovering over your base. This JC Control K is up there in the corner. And the Tsars open up on TJ's base. One of the Tsars actually goes down to that little flare battery, but drops it right on top of the flares. And I think that's most of the AA now for TJ eliminated, as well as his base. His comm is up here. Tsar on the way to give him a loving kiss goodnight. And TJ Control K is there. Alrighty, guys. That is the end of the game that I've watched probably 20 times or so. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, after watching this so many times, decided it was good. It was good to cast. If you guys have any casts for FAF that you want to see casted, best chance for you to get casted is to put them in the FAF replays on the main FAF Discord. I think it's called Replays to Cast, where it'll either get picked up by myself or one of the other casters like Willow, Yavi. I think it's Yavi. I'm now blanking. I even asked him how to pronounce his name and I've forgotten. Derp, Guile. There are a lot of casters that pull from that little replay repository. So that's your best chance to get casted for Supreme Commander. If you guys are one of the people that play Beyond All Reason, best way for you to get cast to me is actually going to be hosted on Google Drive, Dropbox, something like that, and send me a link via Discord to the actual SFDZ file itself, because that's the way that I'm going to have to load the replay into my folder. There's a lot of hokey pokey things that happen with Beyond All Reason and replays and various builds and things like that. So instead of linking me a URL, it's going to be easier if you just send me the file itself. So yeah, if you guys can do that, I'd really appreciate it. That being said, guys, that's about all I've got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.